When it comes to Hunter Greene's injury, somebody needs to be held accountable. We'll tell you who on today's Locked On Reds.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Jeff Carr, he's Steve Offenbaker, and today's podcast is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBTHESHOW.com/locked on and use the code locked on to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Later on in today's show, we'll discuss the mark that the World Baseball Classic is missing and why the Olympics might help. In just a few minutes, we will tell you why there are antennas raised when it comes to Noelvi Marte, but nothing drastic needs to be done yet. We will begin, though, with the saga that has become of Hunter Greene's elbow, because we got the official word yesterday. No Tommy John. He just needs to have a scope to clear out some little bone fragments and foreign bodies. That's the most that I've ever heard the word foreign body in the last 24 hours, Steve. But they're going to clean that out with a scope, and he's going to be due back by July. When it comes to this whole thing, we talked a lot about it yesterday when it comes to how the rotation moves. I did a special extra show talking about this injury and the final word on all of that. But when it comes to everything else around it, it feels like there needs to be some more accountability than just, well, gosh, golly, gee, he's going to get things figured out and we'll get him back on the field here soon.
Yeah, I caught your extra show yesterday, and that was great. And, folks, listeners out there, the everydayers, that's going to be something we're trying to do. We hope you enjoy that. Let us know. Get in the comments. Tell us what you think. Do you want those extra shows? Do you want that extra content? Because I really enjoyed that popping up in the feed, Jeff. And a lot of what you had to say, I agree with, especially when you pinged on, saying that Hunter Greene doesn't want to pitch, that, he signed his contract and he just wants to collect the money and not ever throw a baseball again. That is very disingenuous. That's not a real thing. Hunter Greene wants to pitch. He wants to be successful. I believe that. But when you look at what has gone on, not only with Hunter Greene and his injury this time, but in his history with this team and the way that injuries have been handled, and even really, Jeff, the larger picture of how injuries have been handled by this organization over multiple years. How many times did we make fun of David Bell coming to a microphone and saying, yeah, the guy's day to day, he tweaked it a little bit. Oh, by the way, yeah, I know we talked about that the other day, but now he's had surgery and, things like that happening. I get why you reacted the way you did, thinking, well, Hunter Greene's done for the year, and why people get frustrated. But you look at these injuries and you look at how they're handled. And specifically in this instance with Hunter Greene, I asked John Sadak the other day when he was on, who knew what when it came to Hunter Greene. And John's like, well, I didn't hear anything. I didn't know that. And then we see Terry Francona give an interview this week that, following up on Hunter Greene saying what the timeline was and how things went down, you get Terry Francona saying, well, I didn't hear any of that. Hunter talked to Derek Johnson a little bit, but I didn't hear any of that. There's a disconnect somewhere, and someone needs to be held accountable for that. So there's three possibilities here. Either the front office knew what was going on and dropped the ball and didn't follow up in a way that they needed to follow up, or Hunter Greene did not tell people the truth and heard the things that were going around the building. And you hit on this in the extra show yesterday, heard the things that were going on and was like, well, I'm pushing through. I'm not saying anything, because if the guys I'm playing with don't think I'm trying hard enough, and if the managers and the coaches and the owners and the front office don't think I'm trying hard enough, I'm not saying anything. That's possibility number two. Possibility number three is the doctors got it wrong. And if Krimchek is the problem, maybe it's time to make a change, with Krimchek being the first guy that everybody goes to. And if the second opinion matched the first opinion, that kind of provides cover for the doctors. But somebody somewhere did not do their due diligence, either in initially presenting what was going on with Hunter Greene or following up with it, because just taking a big step back. Now, I haven't read the MRI reports. I haven't seen the imaging. I don't know everything that went on or when it happened, but here's what I know. The last pitch that Hunter Greene threw in October, his elbow hurt, and they gave him a shot somewhere after that towards late October, and his elbow felt good. You know why his elbow felt good, Jeff? He wasn't pitching. He was not throwing baseballs. And then he goes to Goodyear and starts throwing baseballs, and his elbow, guess what? Still hurt. So why, for the love of God, between October and February, did somebody not have Hunter Greene out at the complex throwing baseballs to see how effective the shot had been? There was a disconnect somewhere. Someone needs to be held accountable, Jeff. It is not okay at this point to just say, oh, well, this is the way it goes. Pitchers, their arms, man, I don't know. It's wonky. Elbows are hard. I don't know. This is not okay. It's not acceptable. We are losing half a season of the ace of this team, the guy with the nasty stuff, the guy that is your shutdown number one starting pitcher that you want in the first game of a meaningful playoff series. They're losing that. And someone needs to be held accountable for that. And I don't know who it is for sure, but I know that it needs to happen. And someone needs to step up and say the buck stops here.
I point the finger at the front office, because when you put all of the things together, somebody could blame Hunter Greene, but Hunter Greene is reacting to everything that has happened around him. And it's to the point that it continues. It's not something that is in the past. He wrote this Instagram post, and he shared it on X and all the different things. It's basically a long-winded way of explaining the procedure is going to take place. I'm going to be out until July. He says the words in here, I wanted you to hear directly from me on this. Steve, you don't say that if you have full trust in your organization. So I point the finger back at the organization. The other part of this wasn't just Dr. Krimchek. This was also Dr. Elatrosh was involved even back when he got the injection. In fact, it was Elatrosh that gave him the PRP injection in late October, not Krimchek. So all along the way, they've done their bit. This is what they came up with, and this is how they do it. So this is where the organization needs to follow up. You're right. They've got to get him on the mound and test this thing out whenever things are absolutely zero pressure and zero stress on them whatsoever. Have him do a live BP, see how he reacts. And obviously our hindsight's 2020 here, but this is something that seems like regular sites should have caught this. One shot's not just going to fix everything.
Right. It would not have been unreasonable to even make the decision as an organization that you were going to spin Hunter Greene up a month early and bring him along slowly instead of mid-February pitchers and catchers. Hunter Greene, get out here mid-January, start spinning it up. Let's see what happens, because you save yourself time. He would be back in May, June versus July if they had done that. And that's 4 extra starts out of Hunter Greene if you had just simply done that. But instead, everybody involved in this chose to do nothing. And I think that is what makes me more upset than anything else, is that everybody involved chose to do nothing.
For different reasons, for sure, but absolutely, yeah, everybody chose to do nothing. The other part about this too, and this is why I almost say it's not even just the front office, it's the organization as a whole, is those comments from Terry Francona, where he says that, well, he never told me, but he told Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson didn't tell you? Or did he tell you and you not remember? Or what's going on there? Because if he told Derek Johnson, Terry Francona should know it, because we hear a lot of times that those guys meet like every day, like the coaches meet with each other every day and talk every day. You're telling me that over the course of the last 4 months of meeting as regularly as you do, you didn't ever bring this up? I find that a little hard to believe. And the other part about this too is the actions of the team, the way that they operate in the offseason, not trading any pitchers. And then you get to spring training and Hunter Greene's first start isn't until like 12 games into the slate. I think that at that point they were concerned. And then whenever they saw him not recovering, they knew then that they had to get something done. But it just seems so late. And it seems the good news is they're going to get him. And he's not going to be pushing through this. He won't be risking the UCL by trying to throw with bone chips in his elbow. But at the same time, Why didn't this get taken care of in the offseason? I put that
It
on the
raises,
organization.
I'm not sure, Jeff. I'm not ready to assign the blame. I wonder is Derek Johnson somewhere going, well, I sent Tito an email. Did he not check his email about Hunters? I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not sure
Slack.
who it is.
We did it in the Slack channel.
It's in the Slack channel. I'm not sure. It's on the Discord server for the Reds, the coaches. I don't know, Jeff.
They have
feel
teams. I hope they don't have teams for their sake.
That's probably exactly what they have. No, Phil's not paying for that. They're still on Skype, something like that. We saw that in Nick Kral's press conference in the offseason. Like he's using Skype from 1999 beta testing. Listen, this is what I know. Somebody needs to be held accountable. Somebody needs to squarely have the blame put on them. And I don't know who it is that needs to do that. I don't even know who to believe anymore. But what I do know is it's frustrating. It's a tremendous loss for the Reds, and it will make things harder. They can still win the division, but it will make things a little bit harder not having Hunter Greene until mid-July. But Hunter Greene is not the only one that there are concerns about at this point. If you've been watching any of the games from Goodyear or listening to the news coming out of Arizona, people are starting to get a little bit concerned about Noelvi Marte and his play in right field. We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds. And I've reached the point in my life where my wife and I are looking toward the future. We've got the house, we've got the career, we even have an awesome dog, but now we need to secure that future. That's where Ethos comes in for us. When I look at this insurance or that insurance and I try to pick one, I might as well be reading an entirely different language. Ethos clears up the noise and gets me set up with exactly what I need, because Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, and it's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/lockedonmlb. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get a free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb, ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times and rates may vary.
Whether it's breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. And that's where Gametime comes in. Jeff and I tell you about Gametime all the time. We love this app. We both use it every time we're heading down to the ballpark. We find ourselves a spot. We grab a little something to eat, a little something to drink. And as we get closer to first pitch, we log into the Gametime app and we watch those prices drop. We grab our tickets. We head across the street. We get into the ballpark. And here's the best part. You know exactly what you're going to pay because there are no surprises. With all-in pricing, you know exactly what is going to be spent, all the fees, all of the costs included right there. So you can jump on the Gametime app to get the deal done for you. It's very, very simple. You can take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, just create your account and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase on Gametime. Download the Gametime app today. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. Look, we know you live the Cincinnati Reds. Take it up a level and join the Everydayer Club here at Locked On. The Everydayer Club is going to get you ad-free access to Locked On Reds in the audio feed. That's uninterrupted Locked On Reds for just $5 a month, $50 a year. Also, it's going to get you access to an exclusive Discord server where Jeff and I will be talking ball during the games all year long. And not only Locked On Reds Discord, but you're going to get access to every single Locked On Discord channel. You can talk ball with every single expert of the Locked On network. Again, just $5 a month, $50 a year. The link for that is down in the show description. Check out the Everydayer Club today. Okay, Jeff, let's dive back into this. This is a concerning episode that we're doing, and I don't like to stack all these things up all the time, but there is some talk. Hunter Greene obviously is the dominant headline right now, but there is some talk now that people are starting to be a little bit concerned about what they're seeing out of Noelvi Marte. I just want to say right up front, I am not one of them because, again, I try to look at spring through the correct lens and assume that guys are out in Arizona working on things and trying to get better at certain things and elevate their game a little bit. So especially with offensive position player statistics, that's what I look at. Guys are just trying to dial in their swing. And it will come. Things happen. If you recall, there were a lot of seasons where Joey Votto had terrible springs because he was working on something. And then the season started and he locked in and took off. And there you go. And I'm not saying Noelvi Marte is Joey Votto, but the point remains. What I am concerned about a little bit with Noelvi is his continued lack of evolution defensively. And I feel like we should see him getting a little bit better at route running, a little bit better at just how he looks from a comfort level in the outfield. He's not quite there yet either. But when you take the whole package together, Jet, can you understand why people might be concerned? Yes, I'm not concerned, but I wonder where you land on this, because the Reds have told Noelvi, he's got a job.
My antenna are up, basically. When it comes to Noelvi Marte, I'm not ignoring it, but I'm also not like to the point where I'm like, okay, is it going to be Benson and Blade, and is Marte going to start in AAA or anything? We're not even close to that at this point. Like, consider for a moment that when we look at the starters in right field, it's been Noelvi Marte. We've not seen Blade and Benson out there at the beginning of games. And the only people that have been out there other than Marte are just guys that are going to either play backup roles or be in AAA or whatnot. Like Rhys Hines has been out in right field a lot. I have no doubts that Rhys Hines is going to be in AAA to start the year, not the major leagues. But the thing that I'm worried about isn't necessarily the big moments, because I think Noelvi Marte is a guy who rises to the big moment. He meets the bright lights. It's when they're in Colorado. It's when they're playing a team that just isn't quite in the race, like when they go to St. Louis. Whenever Noelvi Marte is in right field in those games and a ball comes to him and he misplays it just a little bit because maybe his motor isn't up enough, that one play turns into an inning of bad plays that then makes the Reds lose that game. And when the Reds lose games that they shouldn't, it puts a lot more pressure on months like September. As we will get into the season and we look at that month of September, if you haven't seen what the Reds have to deal with in the final month of the season, holy crap. Let's just say for right now, when you look at the month of September, both series against the Dodgers happened in 2 weeks. Anyway, so when it comes to all of that, they've got to make sure that they keep the pressure off themselves in these not so tough games. I put those in air quotes because it's Major League Baseball. Everybody's there for a reason. But Noelvi Marte's got to be able to make the play every single day, no matter who he's going against. And the fact that he's struggling in spring training leads me to be concerned about games that don't have as much meaning during the regular season. And will he be up for those moments?
Yeah, it's a little concerning. Here's a couple things that gives me a little bit of relief when thinking about the right field situation. I mean, worst case scenario is, like you said, they do something different in left with the outfield. And they have talked about the fact that Spencer Steer could see time in right field during the course of the year. Not a lot, but that is on the table. Right field, left field, second base, first base. Those are the areas you can see Spencer Steer. So there are options. There are things other than Terry having to go, well, Noelvi's all I got. So he's going to play a la the Will Benson situation a few years back. Well, there's nobody else. He's just going to keep going out there every day, and it doesn't matter what he does. The Reds have other options. But you're right. This season, especially if Terry Francona is going to be a man of his word, this season, the Reds are going to have to operate differently. And if guys are struggling, if guys aren't getting it done, Terry's going to have a quicker hook than he had last year with things. He left Matt McClain in the 2 spot too long. You can't leave guys in the mound too long, and you can't leave guys out in the outfield struggling too long if you're going to win this division. And you're also correct that the Reds have had a love affair with losing the series that they should win and winning the series they should lose. And that can't be a thing that happens.
See the White Sox series in May last year.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely correct. And you're right. The September schedule is tough. If they're going to win the division, they're going to have a fairly comfortable lead heading into the month of September in order to hold on to that, just by the nature of the schedule. So where do I land on Noelvi Marte?
I mean, I don't think that he's in danger of like losing his opening day spot in the lineup.
I agree. And I think, you said your antennas are up. I think I'm going to be cautious in saying, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? Oh, is he regressing? Let's get to the regular season and see. I don't think there's been a sample size big enough with what's going on to say for sure anything. He's played in 9 games in Goodyear, Jeff. 9 games. He's had 27 plate appearances in games in Arizona. That doesn't mean anything. His slash line in those games, 231, 259, 462 with a home run. This is nothing. This is the first week of the season. If you're talking about numbers, it's very, very small sample size. I am concerned about the look of his outfield play, not so much the results in the batter's box. I want to see him get better defensively, but it's okay. I think we all just need to relax a little bit and let's just let this team get ready for the regular season.
And we'll remember that it's spring training. That's going to be the subject of our extra episode today. I kind of want to look at some guys who had good spring trainings that people may have forgotten about for good reasons. Because when it comes to good spring trainings versus good regular seasons, there's not a whole lot of correlation there. So I'm not going too crazy about his at-bats. I'm only a little bit concerned about his defense. And we'll keep monitoring that as we go along. But I know this, Steve, right now, the World Baseball Classic is going on. And I just feel like there's something off. It's right there. It's just not hitting quite enough. And I think that the answer is Olympics.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to fill out your positions and to get through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of Locked On Reds can get $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get in front of the people that need to see it most, the candidates that you need right now. Just visit Indeed.com/podcast to get started. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show. Tell them Locked On Reds sent you, and you are going to get that $75 in credit. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Today, I'm thrilled to be talking to you about our sponsor, MLB The Show 26. It's the greatest game in baseball, and it's back and bigger than ever in its newest installment. Of course, my favorite feature with any MLB The Show game is the franchise mode, because I take control of the Reds, and I always run them a lot better than they seem to run in real life. Don't know what it is. Maybe I know what's up. Or maybe it's just because I don't play on that hard of a difficulty. But look, you can create your own experience with your favorite baseball game, with your favorite baseball players as well, because you can also get into the Diamond Dynasty of it all. And in fact, you can go to MLBTHE.show/locked-on and use the code locked-on, which is LOCKEDON, to unlock a special locked-on pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Of course, you need an internet connection to get that done. You can pre-order MLB The Show 26 now through March 17th, because the game is released on March 17th. It's on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. MLB The Show is rated E for everyone. Thank you for making Locked On Reds part of your day. And if you want to follow us after the show is over, you can follow us on social media. You can follow Steve at @SOffenbaker with 2 Fs. And you can follow me at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. And you can also follow the show at Locked On Reds. That's on pretty much every single social media app out there. All right, Steve, the World Baseball Classic has been firing all cylinders. I've been enjoying games, but I kind of feel like there's like this next level that we're missing. I mean, such to the point that the manager of the American side completely misunderstood exactly how far his team had accomplished before the game against Italy on Tuesday night, saying that they had qualified for the quarterfinal when they hadn't. Don't think that's going to be a very good look for Mark DeRosa moving forward. But all of that being said, it looks like through American eyes, the tournament needs a little bit of oomph. And I think Bryce Harper provided that oomph, or at least provided the blueprint for what that oomph could look like.
Yeah, Bryce Harper, basically, to paraphrase what Bryce Harper had to say, he was talking about the WBC and basically said the same thing you just said. It's all well and good. It's exciting. People like it. But check out the Olympics. Everybody's watching the Olympics. And then he went on to say, and I love this, Bryce Harper went on to say, I hope that during the next CBA negotiations, they figure out a way to get us back into the Olympics. And I think that is the answer, Jeff. You look at how in the Winter Olympics, everybody responds to the hockey and how everybody is watching the Olympics and is locked in to what is going on during the course of the Olympics. I can see a scenario. Can you imagine? The Summer Olympics take place right in the middle of the baseball season. They shut down Major League Baseball for 2 weeks, and all of these countries get to use their players that are ready to go. I'm talking about the pitchers are in midseason form, the hitters are in midseason form, and you get a scenario where Team USA is out there battling all of these Latin American countries that play with such passion, and you're going to get midseason guys like even from the Reds. You could see Andrew Abbott, you could see Nick Lodolo pitching for Team USA facing Ellie De La Cruz playing for the Dominican. How exciting would that be in an Olympic scenario where the whole world is invested, not just certain teams, and not pitchers with these innings limits and pitch limits and that are still trying to spin it up and not in their best form. I think this is the answer. And I hope that this happens. I know that Rob Manfred, a season or two ago, floated the idea of shutting baseball down for a period of time to have their own kind of tournament. And everybody was like, that's a bad idea. Why would you do that? But for the Olympics, I think people would buy into this. And I think everybody would be okay with it. You hit on this during prep, and I'll let you kind of expand upon it. But I think where we've seen a reluctance for insurance companies to insure guys like Mike Trout for the WBC, when you're talking about the Olympics, that might be a better investment for the insurance companies, and they might be willing to do that.
Yeah, because in case you missed that story, when the WBC was just getting started up and different teams were announcing their rosters and different players were unable to play because of contract insurance. And it's not the player getting insurance on their contract, it's the teams being able to get insurance on their players in case they get hurt and things like that. And it's because the WBC, like if you're an insurance company and you're coming to them and you're saying, well, insurance for the WBC, some of them are probably reluctant to do that because it's like, it's a fun tournament, but it's kind of like a little side tournament. You come to the insurance company and you say Olympics, pretty sure that they sign that on the dotted line right away, because it's obvious the value of this. And I think you're right. Like changing the time of year when this happens, you're going to have injury risk no matter what. I honestly think you have more of an injury risk now than if you would in the middle of the season, but it's still some. It's not as if you get rid of it to have it in the middle of the year. So if you're one of those people that are like, well, you can't do this because it's an injury risk, so is playing regular baseball during the regular season. So I don't have a problem with that side of this, but the Olympics, I feel like you would be able to put together more just understandable rosters, because we also have that thing. And if you are in this place, I'm kind of on the fence between these two parties where it's like, it does matter. It doesn't matter. Like the whole family heritage thing. Well, they had a grandmother that was from this country. And so that's why they're playing for this country. There's two reasons for that. They couldn't make the American team. And then they wanted to play in the tournament. So they go and they play for a different country because there's a bit of heritage. The IOC is all about where you got your citizenship. So there will be a lot more honesty and a lot more relatability when it comes to these rosters. I mean, Steve, last night, the Italian team closed out the game with Greg Weissert. Greg Weissert is from New York. He's pitched for the Yankees and the Red Sox. He was born in New York. Like, I think if we get rid of stuff like that, people will be more apt to buy into it, because this, at the end of the day, is an entertainment product. And whenever your audience doesn't quite have full buy-in to it, we just don't see that kind of oomph. But I think that the WBC, I think that there are some people that are related with the WBC that believe that the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, has that oomph. And I just don't think that they understand the majority of folks' opinion about it. We think it's fine, but it's an exhibition.
Yeah, and you're right. There have been some moments in WBC play that have been fun, but for the most part, it doesn't hit like the Olympics do. And look, and I'm not saying that you pause midseason and you add this extra workload onto pitchers and you add this extra amount of games onto players. I would be okay with a reduction in games during Olympic years, dropping from 162 to 154, dropping to 152, whatever it is you have to shave off. In order, and you can make up for some of it. You can shut down for a 2-week period and finagle off days on both sides of it in order to not lose the full 2 weeks. But I would be okay with a reduction in games during that period of time. So you're not still asking pitchers to make their 32 starts plus go make 4 more starts during an Olympic season
and then playoffs
and then playoffs and all the things. You make adjustments. And I think that everybody would be okay with this, but I want to hear from the everydayers. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you think about Major League Baseball shutting down to participate in the Olympics. This is going to be a topic during the contract negotiations, especially since Bryce Harper kind of put it front and center. I wonder how many players are on board with this. I think there's going to be a lot of internal discussion. There's going to be a lot of discussion with the owners, and there's going to be a lot of discussion throughout next offseason when we're really looking for things to talk about while they're negotiating this contract. There's going to be lots of time to talk about this, but I think that Bryce Harper hit on something. I would like to see it come to fruition, and I would like to see some Cincinnati Reds pitching for Team USA in the Summer Olympics. It would make me very, very happy. And that is where we're going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks as always for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. For the audio folks, go make your second listen Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered over there on Major League Baseball from a national perspective. You also get former Reds pitcher Mike Stanton giving you Major League Baseball from a player's perspective. Both of those shows are in the Locked On MLB feed. For the video folks, stick around. We're going to send you over to Locked On's first ever 24/7 YouTube channel. It runs 24/7 with all of the experts from the Locked On Network talking ball all day long. Until next time, we will keep gathering up the news, the notes, the rumors, the reports, and the information and bring it all right back here to keep you Locked On Reds every single day.
It'd just be fun to watch a baseball team come in the opening ceremonies. Like, I just think Olympic baseball would hit so much more than WBC. And I think
that's the right answer.